The skipper, number 15, J. Stanley Skip Bertman.
Thank you very much. Isn't that nice? I really appreciate that. Even though I know there are several guys just wanted to get up and straighten out their pants. I really appreciate that. I appreciate also, and I'm surprised with Stephen, thank you, Stephen, for the setup and your effort to make me welcome. I feel very welcome. Felix is a dear friend. Thank you, Felix. I do want to say that there's probably, it's just amazing the amount of talent, in this room today. I mean, it's powerful, and I want to thank all of you as a resident, Baton Rouge, for using your gifts and talents to help us here at Baton Rouge and the greater area. The title of the speech was "Let's Take a Look Back," and Felix gave some information, and I want to talk about that too. The first Rotary Club, I was introduced by George Ballard. God bless George, and he's fighting, and I hope he does, well. The paper came out the next week, and it said that the new baseball coach said that over $3 million was the major league average salary, which of course was true. Today it's just under 5. All right. People want to look at this baseball coach, sometimes funny, but mostly crazy, because he thinks he's going to change the way people think about baseball. See, in 1982, we had won the national championship at the University of Miami when I was the assistant to a great coach. That year, Bob Broadhead called. He was the athletic director, brash guy that had a lot of history. Maybe some of it not so good, as you look back, but he was a very forward-thinking guy. And he called me and he says, "Hey, listen, we want to sneak you in and sneak you out on the same night." I says, "Why?" He says, "Well, I want to make sure, that you're satisfied and everything's okay, and then we can announce your baseball." "You mean the baseball coach is still there?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I can't come up when the baseball coach is still there." I said, "That's not even professional." And he kind of paused for a moment to say, "What?" Well, he called again next year in 1983. Okay, and I wanted to come up, and I did. On a airport, I said, "Well, pick me up." And I said, "How will I know this guy?" He said, "Well, he'll have a purple tie or something. You'll know who it is." And sure enough, I come in, and there's a guy, with a tie not this big, and of course a lot of footballs and purple stuff. And he came up and he said, "Billy Ray Bob." And I said, "Where are the other two guys?" I mean, I was a Yankee. I really didn't know. I watched a Friday afternoon baseball game that week, or really Saturday. And there were about 200 people, lots of bird poop, and some students who wanted a quiet place to study. Well, now, a big shot in the SEC office in Birmingham, Herb Vincent, very good friend, working at LSU for many, many, many years, was a student in charge of, he hadn't graduated yet, and he was the announcer, and of course he's terrific. But he went, "No putting food in the sea," and nobody cared. I mean, they just sat there like this. It was so quiet I could hear the noise of the cleats hitting the dirt as the runners ran down to first base. It was all football, you know, as it is today, and should be. Like, for instance, I started a fall baseball program. Now, nobody knew you could even do that, and so it was brand new. And naturally, we did it on Saturday, and we played at 10 o'clock, a practice game. Then we played another one, and we played 2 games against the team, you know, every Saturday. And of course, lots of people said, "Well, what's that noise? What's going on?" And that attracted a little bit of attention. And but I was shocked after the first win on a Saturday. Honest to God, I get into the football stadium and I have my tickets way up in the end zone, you know. And of course, I got my family with me, you know, I want to see what it's all about. And of course, I hear the announcer say, "Congratulations to our baseball coach, Skip Bertman, whose team won 2 games today over Pearl River Junior College." I said, "Wow, you know, I mean, you can beat a junior college?" Honest to God. I mean, it was unusual for me, you know, every fall, the first fall, it was 1983, and the Vietnamese kid we're trying out, and this is all, you know, new to me. And of course, he's working real hard. I'm going to put him in. He looked good in the bullpen, just practice games, doesn't really matter. And catcher, you know, runs over to him, and he says, "Hey, look," he's giving them all signals, you know, and I walk over and I says, "Look, let's take it easy here. Just 1 finger means fastball. 2 finger means curveball. That's it." So he goes in, and of course he throws fastball very good, and it's way up here. He throws another fastball, and it goes to the backstop. And then he whips curveballs in once, twice, 3 times. And then he does it again for the next batter, and of course he was in relief, and the inning ends, and he comes over, and I'm about to say, "Nice going." And he says, "Coach, I don't care what you say." You know, in a little bit of broken English. He says, "I don't care what you say. I cannot throw the ball with 1 finger." The pitcher, you know, well, these are all new kids, and I don't know them. Of course, the pitcher with his red or white cleats, you know, white cleats were really a big deal then, you know. And, you know, he'd warm up for me, and he'd throw some fastballs, and I'd say, "What else you got?" He goes, "Well, I've got a curveball." "That's good. And thank you." You know, he did. And he says, "Do you have anything else?" And the guy goes, "Sure. Like they all do this." I said, "Well, what do you got? Like a Vulcan death pitch? I mean, come on. A knuckle in shoot? What do you got?" And of course, whatever it was, you know, it was something that, like a drop, you know, or something that was not even a viable, but they put it between their fingers. You know, they'd throw it 45 or 48 feet, it would bounce, hit the catcher, and then they do it again, and the catcher had hit 2 marks. And what was great about it, I'd say to him, "When do you throw that pitch?" And he said, "Oh, I only throw that when I need it." "When do you need a pitch that you throw that cripples your catcher?" I mean, it was so new, you know, to me. And let's see, I'm telling you, I had a blast, though. And you're going to hear from me on that. And want to tell you that I had a pitcher, football player from Grayson, Louisiana. His name was Clay Ewing, great pitcher, the boys tell me. And of course he can't come out now. He's punting for Jerry Stovall in 1983, whose team the year before went to the Orange Bowl. But this year's team, that year's team, in 1983, was struggling a little bit. And when he went to punt, he shanked the ball a lot. And would you believe the fans booed him? Yeah, they gave him a big boo. I heard that a lot. And then he comes to baseball, and he's got a strong arm. And fine, January after the season, and he warms up. Finally, I'm going to put him in for the first time late February against the University of Kansas. So, I got I'm thinking, Jesus, this kid's going to get booed by the 300 to 400 people that I'm watching because this thing's all baseball. I feel bad for the kid and his self-esteem. Now pitching, and of course the sound system worked. Now pitching, Clay Ewing. And of course, there was a round of boos, as he came in. And then I stayed right behind them, and watched the 8 warm-ups. And when it was over, the 8 warm-ups, I felt terrible for the kid. And they're still booing a little bit. And I go up to him and I said, hey, Clay, don't pay attention to those boos. He says, make us proud. And he said, boos? Booing me? They're booing you, coach, for putting me in. I was worried about his self-esteem. I don't know. The hang time on his curveball was better than the hang time on his punts. My team gave out uniforms at Dale Brown's basketball game, and Dale did a great job. And then they'd give out they're in uniform, and then they give out schedules on Nicholson Drive. When the light changed in the car, they'd give the guy a schedule. And of course, they didn't mind that. Some of the guys made some new friends, and they didn't mind that. And but one guy came up to represent them all. He says, Coach, that's a state highway. I said, the car's whoosh, whoosh. I said, deal with it, kid. You're an athlete. You can dodge those cars. I'll tell you, 1984, the first season from '83 actually begins. And in order to get the people there, I had some promotions. Our good friend, Lee Berg, Lee Michaels Jewelers, tipped off by Felix and Richard Lipsy, still a Rotary Club member today. And I go to see him and I said, listen, here's a good promotion. Would you do it? Would you give me 1,500 zircons, which are worth nothing, and 1 diamond worth something, and I'll give it to the first 1,500 people, and then we'll have a guy there looking at it, and I think we can get up to 15. And of course he looked at me like I'm crazy, and he says, I can do that. And he gave me a diamond worth something, I don't remember. And it worked very well, that promotion, as they lined up, and some guy checked it at the end. And then I had one that didn't work so well. I had Captain Dynamite. Start off the SEC with a bang. And of course I got Captain Dynamite. He shows up a little early, and so I got a game with Southeastern. Now we used to play Saturday, Sunday, just the two. And I've got a Friday game. I just want to zip one in. I got Friday afternoon with Southeastern and Captain Dynamite. I know you don't know him, but when I played ball, he was a promotional guy. And what he does is he puts a real stick of dynamite next to something, and boom. And in this case, he puts it in a coffin. The coffin goes up into the air. And of course, I said, listen, would you do something today? we'll get it on television, get some more people here. Says, what? So would you come today and help us something to sell more tickets? All right, we got through. All right, and he went out to second base, honest to God. And of course, I run down and tell the kids, get to the TV station, at least the one that's close to us on Channel 9, get some footage out here. Was trying to get us known. And of course, they run down Channel 9, comes down there really close to the field, and they put it on TV. And of course, he puts a wheelbarrow out there. He gets under the wheelbarrow. And he puts a stick of dynamite next to it, and everybody moves away. He, gives instruction, and second base goes up in the air. And of course, the wheelbarrow, and he comes out, and he goes. Well, sure enough, they got that on TV. And I figured that's going to help me draw some more people. But it was seen by the state trooper in Denham Springs, who said, damn, that guy, I know that guy. It's a guy chased over the state line. Had explosives in his car. And sure enough, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a call on, where is he? And, he said to give him the hotel, and they go and they check him out, and they come down. Of course, they arrest him for crossing over state line with explosives. And then inside his car, they got all kinds of things. Today, of course, who knows what they would have done. But at that time, so they arrest him. So, of course, I have nothing for the promotion. That failed. Tell you what worked. Do you remember the San Diego Chicken? Professional guy, Ted Giannoulis, who jumped into a chicken suit, and he was very good. He was a gymnast, really, and he was very good. And I asked him to come down. We had to cut the price. I got some chicken people to help us out. We got 1,500 that night. And the season begins, and now I'm starting to give signals. And of course, people think I'm Catholic. It begins. And people say, why do you give those signals? Let the catcher call it. Laura, I'm sorry, but I am not. It's 1984. And if you get graduated from high school, you can get into LSU. Today, that's not true. Now they're so selective enrollment. And so I'm not going to give some catcher majoring in Canadian bass fishing and, Louisiana tourism. And he says, you better tell my mom, Coach, it's a double major, you see. Oh, it was wonderful. And Donald Ray Kennard, God rest his soul. State representative, but also had a job at LSU in academics, which was the time, was poor. Okay, I don't mean all LSU. I mean the help for the athletes in LSU. And he comes and he says, Mike McCarthy, now he was about the best pitcher. He wasn't that good. But for us, neither were the other teams in those days. And so Mike McCarthy is already, he says, hey, Coach, Mike McCarthy can't play. He's going to be ruled ineligible. I said, what happened? Doesn't have a major. I said, he's been here 4 years. What does he have to do? And he's got to run to a dean's office and select a major. I said, well, that's not easy. That's not hard. And I run up to Mike and I said, Mike, pick a major. And get into this dean's office and tell him what your major is. Nothing too tough. A lot of pressure. Nothing too tough. Anyway, comes back next day. Mike, did you get a major? He said, yes, sir. I said, that's great. What is it? Veterinary medicine. And I said, what are you talking about? That's too tough. And he said, no, I love working with kids. It was different then. There were just a few people. And here, the coaching wasn't the same, as it is today. The players aren't as good as it was today. Okay, so here's the third base coach, And there, of course, first base. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And of course, you got to give him a signal, you know, when he runs from first to second. The signal to steal at the University of Arkansas at the time was this. Yeah, well, you didn't have to be too smart, you know. And then the season started, you know, and this was cute. I remember this very, very well, honest to God. People would say, hey, Bertram. It took me about 5 years to be Bertman, okay? Hey, Bertram, we're 1 point down. And, you know, I sent coaches up into the stands right during the game to teach the people. And I'd yell back and not bad, and I'd say, they're not points. They're called runs, and we'll get some more. And you'd hear this a lot. Hey, ref, you stink. And I say, Bertram, the refs stink. I said, they're not referees. They're umpires, and you're right. They're pretty bad. I got the team. I got them together. And they're ready to go. And I said, we're going to this place in Middle America. There wasn't much TV. Not a lot of people knew about it. No team from Louisiana University team has ever been to Omaha. And of course, they started to cheer and clap. And I go, ooh, all right. And then they heard a kid in the back say, hey, coach is on drugs like us. You know, they didn't think that they were special enough to go to Omaha. That only came from people from California, say, or New York or some other place. See, they were satisfied with mediocrity, which is what they did. They were about 24 and 28, or 28 and 24. Nobody bothered them. It was a safe place. Not a lot of pressure like a football coach has. And he you know, I understood, and I started to work with them. And you should know, whatever they didn't know. You don't have just a unique genetic code. You have a one-of-a-kind genetic code. Of all the 11 billion people that walk the face of the earth, everybody is different. Now, ladies, nobody can reproduce the miracle of your child. Guys, nobody can raise that kid the way you're going to do it or have done it. And of course, it's much more. So smile. This guy, when you move your mouth, the way you walk, the way you sit down, and other things that you do. We are special, created by the Maker himself, to create, to love, and to move people, say, and to help other people, created to succeed. And it took me a couple of years, okay, to teach them about the what it was, and finally we're playing ball. This is good. We're playing ball, and honest to God, in 1984, and we get this, Laura, we get a Mardi Gras break of 5 days. Yeah, like 5 days. Okay. And I said, oh, right, 5 days without classes, hard work, long practice, you know, we don't have to worry about school. And I tell them that, you know, and give them the hours, and they're confused. And the guy comes up to me and he says, hey, Coach, we can't do that in practice. I said, why? Fat Tuesday. I said, what the hell is Fat Tuesday? He said, Coach, it's Mardi Gras. I said, what the hell is Mardi Gras? I said, we got to play ball. And I'll tell you what, I went back and I said to the guys, this is not American Legion baseball. I said, the old guy that used to coach last year before me, he's selling insurance. How you 19 and 20-year-old kids play determines where my kids go to college. Where I take a vacation if I can get one. I said, what the hell is Fat Tuesday? Get out here. Well, They did a nice job, and we did practice for 5 days, and it worked well, and attendance started to grow, and the media couldn't believe that they could be in the dugout, you know, right up until game time. Well, of course, sure, they've been doing that in the major leagues for 100 years, but they couldn't believe because football didn't do that. And I love Paul Maneri. I hired Paul Maneri. He's terrific. He's one of the best coaches in the country. The attendance went from 20, 42, 61, 96, and over 100,000. And Paul, last year, as Felix pointed out, he drew 440,000, and he's 200,000 more than the next guy in college baseball. And of course, that makes it great, you know, for me. There was, don't go yet, there was a guy. Well, you know, there used to be a sign up here that says Rotary Club, 1 o'clock, and you feel threatened. Give me a minute. This is too cool. We're playing in those days, in 1984, 85, 86, 87, and more, those years, big rivalry with Tulane. You know, like I didn't know. I didn't even know about Halloween and Billy Cannon's Run Back. You know, I didn't know this stuff. Okay, and we go down and play Tulane, and of course Tulane's got considerably, for Tulane, a lot of people. They got beer sold at the end over there, which is legal, and but naturally we don't do that. But they're loud, you know, like you hear things like, "Hey, Bertman, your ears are so big, you could hear sign language," and worse. All right. Well, it appears the Tulane pitcher is throwing more strikes, okay, than our pitcher, and it looks like the same pitch. It looks like the guy's favoring Tulane, and these old umpires, and might be. You can't argue with the ump, though. You get thrown out. You know, for if you walk out of the dugout and you argue an ump for over a ball or a strike, you throw them out. Now, I can't help the team if I'm sitting on a bus or in the locker room. All right, so I got to think of something. So I take out my cell phone, and even in those days, we had a cell phone. When you use it, not just to call the kids and all of that, but to call, you know, the bullpen, because we didn't have any way to connect with them, you know, or to call, you know, your batting cages, how much more time do you need? So yeah, you had a cell phone. Okay, and I take that cell phone and I throw it out on the field. You know, I throw it out, 10 feet, 12 feet, and it lands near the umpire. And I run out there and I says, "Hold it now." I said, "Joe, is this your phone?" And he says, "Of course not, that's not my phone. What makes you think that's my phone?" Because it says 7 missed calls. Can I tell you what, you got to have a sense of humor. We're at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and they're real good. Every team is volunteer assistant. Now, I mean volunteer. You can't pay him one dime. So he makes a living as a trainer during the day or whenever he can, but he's got to coach. Well, I teach him how to coach third base, or at least I think I tried. Okay, and Trey McClure, a great kid, and here today, still involved in baseball, children, wonderful kid, is at second base. Doesn't run well. Okay, would come in third, race with a one-legged man and a woman in her third trimester, you know. Okay, he doesn't run well, but up at bat is Brad Cressy, still involved with baseball, really love him, great kid, great family. Cressy hits a seed to center field. The score is 3-1, and we have 1 out. And immediately, I say first and third, Williams up. I mean, the ball hasn't been caught by the center fielder yet. And I say first and third, Williams up, and I start thinking, that's what you're supposed to do. And I look up, and the third base coach is waving him in. Ooh. And everybody did what you look. And he was out by a cab ride. I mean, about halfway, if the ball hits him and, terrible. And now I am upset with the volunteer coach. And upset, and I don't want him to see me. And he's right in front of me because the third base coach, third base dugout is at Gainesville as it is today. Third base, and I want to step behind the dugout, to grimace, and do what and all of a sudden I hear a guy in the stands yell down, "Hey, Skip, you get what you pay for." You're supposed to be in business, and you're supposed to know. I always had a metaphor. The big guy has to know, big woman, the boss has to know whether the coffee's hot. And what that meant was you're supposed to be coaching and have the entire entity. And if you're the coach, and most of you are, you got to know everything. You got to know if the coffee's hot. Well, that metaphor was real for me. I want to know if the coffee was hot, the hamburger's good, the usher's polite, the usher smiled, said please and thank you, and I was into those things. Restrooms clean, especially the women's restroom, and it has to have a diaper changing spot, because if mom ain't happy, you ain't going to the ball game. All right, and of course we did that, and then he's, and of course I was like undercover boss, and secret shoppers, and I knew whether the coffee was hot or not. Okay, and the reason we made some money is because I had to go to the mound. See, it's amazing how much money you can sell and make at the concession stand when you go to the mound. So I go to the mound, and I don't say anything, and the kid's waiting, and I said, "Hold on, kid, I'm thinking." And the umpire comes out, as you always see. And he says, "You're going to leave him in or take him out?" He wants to hurry the game up. And I said to him, "What do you think?" And then he said, "Coach, that's it. You're going to leave him in, take him out." I said, "How's your family?" I didn't want to drag it out, get those hot dogs sold. Meanwhile, I make my decision. I'm going to leave him in. And I start to walk away, and the kid pitching with the bases loaded says, "Hey, Coach, what about that advice?" I look around, three guys on, one out. I say to him, "Hey, kid, if you know how to cheat, this is the time." I go to the mound. Doug Thompson, great guy, not in baseball, great guy. Want a competitor, wanted the ball every day. Okay, and of course he gets there, and he wanted everyone to come out. You go to the mound and say, "Hey, Doug, your ball, you want to be polite. Doug, your ball's up high. You're a little bit tired." "No, I'm all right, Coach. I got him," kind of stuff. And finally, you end up saying, "Hey, listen, let's get out of here and give the outfielders a break from chasing all your fly balls." I wouldn't change a thing. With all the prices, with all the things, I wouldn't change a thing. I hope that you have, all of you, what I had. Ask Haggai. I wanted to go to work. I could feel it in my stomach on nighttime. I want to get there the next morning and see the players. I want to make improvements, okay, in my product. I want to be great at customer service. See, not just hitting the ball. I wanted to do those things. I mean, I wish and hope that you feel like that. And I also want to say to you that I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't change a thing. The kids were the greatest, and that small Alec box was 7,000 rocked. Couldn't even hear yourself. You had to scream, you yell to talk to a kid right next to you. It was so much fun. And if you're the boss and you're the coach, okay, they look up to you. They want your knowledge. Okay, they want your communication skills. and other things that you mentor for. And most of you are bosses, all right? And that's a wonderful thing. And as a baseball coach, I wanted a lot of fun. I wanted to I played for Coach Bertman, and it was fun, and it was good. And then in high school, in 1969-70, the football team won the state championship in Miami, where I coached. And then the baseball team won the state championship. Of course, a lot of the players were on both teams. I have had those guys up here in Baton Rouge, I'd say 10, maybe 11 times, anywhere from just 2 guys to 22. Now those guys are 63, 64 years old. But once you lift that championship trophy, it stands forever, and it changes everything. And your standards get higher, and then people around you learn more, feel better. Okay, one last thing. Okay, I'll tell you before you go. Thank you for your patience. One more. A guy comes to the United States. I mean, he's an immigrant. Comes from Europe, and he comes in steerage. He's last class, not a lot of money. He gets in New York, and he gets in a cab, and he asks him for this local house of entertainment for men. All right, he finds out where it is. He goes, knocks on the door. Somebody comes in, and he says, "How can we help?" He says, "I'd like to see Esther." He says, "Esther, one of our finest ladies." Well, he and Esther spend a wonderful evening together. On that night, he pulls out, 2 $100 bills. The price, and he says, "Can I see you tonight?" Come back, second night's even better. Reaches down, he pulls out 2 $100 bills. And he says, "Can I see you again?" And she says, "Sure." Well, third night, they have the most wonderful evening of all, and he pulls out 2 more $100 bills. And he starts to walk away, and Esther says, "Can't you come back tonight?" He says, "No, Esther, I have to go back to Paris." And Esther says, "Paris? Paris, France?" He says, "Yes." "Why, I have a sister there." And he says, "I know. And she sent you $600. God bless you all. Thank you very much.